I want you to picture yourself on, like, a lazy Sunday afternoon. You've finally decided to tackle that one specific drawer in your house.
Oh, everyone has that drawer.
Right. The junk drawer in the kitchen, or maybe that bottom drawer of your desk. You slide it open, and what do you find? An old, bulky point-and-shoot camera.
Yep.
A heavy metal flashlight that probably hasn't had working batteries in a decade. Maybe a folded-up, completely outdated city traffic map with coffee stains on it.
I think I still have one of those maps in my car, actually.
See, exactly. We all have these things.
Yeah.
And we all just kind of accept the basic reality of them. Technology moves on. It renders our old gadgets completely obsolete. They just become relics.
Yeah, it's the natural life cycle of innovation. I mean, we don't shed tears over a clunky old flashlight when we have a supercomputer in our pocket that can illuminate a room with the tap of a screen. We just accept the upgrade and we move forward.
Right. But what if you open that same junk drawer, and sitting right there next to the old camera and the torn map, you found your career?
Yeah.
Okay. Or your desire to own a house. Or even, like, your deep-seated goal of getting married and starting a family. What if those deeply human milestones were also sitting in that drawer of obsolescence?
I mean, that is a profoundly disorienting image, but it perfectly captures the essence of the source material we are diving into today.
It really does. So today's deep dive is focused on an essay written in November 2022 by an author named Schwiffing.
Right.
The essay, which was translated by Kinyu and edited by Peter, has a very evocative title. It's called, "Will You Go Backwards to the Sunset or Face the Rising Sun?"
It's a great title.
And our mission today is to explore this text because it lays out a truly radical worldview. It takes that concept of obsolescence that we usually reserve for everyday electronics and applies it, rather ruthlessly, to the very foundations of human society.
Yeah, and to really understand where the author's coming from, we have to start with the poetic framing he uses right at the beginning of the text.
Oh, the sunset metaphor.
Exactly. He paints this vivid picture of the sunset versus the sunrise. He writes about driving a chariot to an ancient elevation toward evening. And he observes that the setting sun is glorious indeed, only it is so close to dusk.
Which is such a striking way to phrase it.
It is. The implication is stark, Since dusk is near, the sun is inevitably going to set, and darkness will consume the earth. No matter how beautiful that sunset is, it represents an absolute ending.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to get you, the listener, to understand the ultimate philosophical leap this author takes later in the essay, we first have to establish his baseline argument.
Right, the foundation.
And he builds this argument on something we can all universally agree on, which is the relentless march of technology.
He really grounds his lofty, poetic introduction in cold, hard, everyday examples. He catalogs a whole list of what he calls sunset industries.
Industries that are just gone.
Exactly. Industries that have either already vanished or are currently vanishing right before our eyes.
I mean, think about it. The moment the smartphone camera arrived, the point-and-shoot market didn't just slow down, it evaporated.
Yeah.
Who is going to manufacture Kodak film today? Cars came along, and the ox cart and horse-drawn carriage industries were wiped off the map.
Automatic transmissions replaced manuals.
Right.
Industrial robots replaced human assembly line workers. Powerful modern social software has rendered older platforms like QQ totally obsolete.
Oh, my QQ, yeah.
He even projects into the future, asking, who will bother making 20G mobile phones when 800G mobile phones exist?
It reminds me of how your phone constantly nags you to update your operating system.
Yeah.
You might put it off for a day or two, but eventually you have to hit install.
You have to.
If you don't, your app stops working, your security is compromised, and you just get left behind in a digital wasteland.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
And the author asks, when these sunset industries go bankrupt and enter the History Museum, do you feel sorry? And his own answer is a definitive no.
No, not at all.
He says, there is no time for regrets or remorse. Warning a sunset industry is completely worthless and meaningless.
What's fascinating here is how the author uses this undeniable technological Darwinism to prime you.
Right.
You're nodding along thinking, well, of course I wouldn't invest my life savings in a physical city traffic map business today.
Definitely not.
But notice the absolute lack of sentimentality in his tone. He writes that yesterday, industries disappeared. Today, enterprises are closing. Tomorrow, people will lose their jobs.
It is a harsh reality.
It is. But the mechanism is undeniable. And once he has established that you agree with this mechanism for gadgets and software, he scales it up.
He goes much bigger.
Way bigger. He transitions from technological evolution to historical evolution. He argues that the forces rendering your old flashlight obsolete are the exact same forces that sweep away massive human empires.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because he uses the transition from the Ming Dynasty to the Qing Dynasty in China to illustrate this.
Yes, a massive historical shift.
Right. And during that shift, there were people, and he puts the word patriots in quotes,
Yeah.
who fiercely opposed the new Qing Dynasty. They wanted to restore the old ways of the Ming Dynasty.
And according to the author, those patriots became synonymous with being reactionary. Their ending was inevitably tragic.
Wow.
He's drawing a direct, unflinching parallel here. Just as holding on to a manual transmission when the world goes automatic is a futile waste of energy, holding on to a fallen dynasty when a new one rises is equally futile.
And he ties this historical point right back to the modern day. He says that just like the iPhone 13 will eventually eliminate older mobile phones, inevitably, Musk's Starlink mobile phone will force the iPhone 13 itself into decline.
It's a constant cycle.
He calls this the absolute inevitability of human society.
Wow.
As he phrases it, the waves behind will push forward the waves ahead of them.
It's a very deterministic view.
Now, I have to push back here a little on behalf of anyone listening. This is a massive, almost jarring leap.
Oh, for sure.
It's one thing to say a smartphone replaces a flashlight. A phone is a gadget. But human societies are complex webs of millions of lives, cultures, and traditions. You can't just copy-paste the logic of throwing out an old Nokia onto shifting human dynasties and label any resistance to a new societal order as tragically reactionary.
Yeah, I mean, that is a crucial friction point, and it's exactly the discomfort the author expects you to feel. You're reacting to the reduction of human history to a mere mechanism of upgrades.
Boy, it feels too simple.
But to understand the essay, we have to look through his specific lens. His underlying thesis is that historical progression is an unstoppable, impersonal force.
Impersonal being the key word.
Exactly. To him, resisting the flow of history, whether it's a new dynasty or a completely new era of humanity, is just as foolish as trying to sell an ox cart to someone shopping for a car. The scale is vastly different, but to him, the underlying mechanism of obsolescence is identical.
So, if we accept his premise that history is just a series of inevitable operating system updates, we have to ask, what does this author think the next update actually looks like?
That is the big question.
What is the current unstoppable sunrise that we should all be looking toward right now? Because here's where the essay shifts gears abruptly. We leave sociology and history behind and enter a highly specific radical lifestyle ideology.
We enter what the author calls the Lifechanyuan era.
Lifechanyuan era.
Okay. And to explain this new era, he uses another powerful metaphor. Imagine standing at the very peak of a mountain in this Lifechanyuan era, looking down at all the activities happening in the world below.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
He describes individuals he calls Chanyuan celestials. These are the people who have successfully climbed to the peak, and they get to sit there and enjoy the beautiful scenery of the mountains and rivers.
I mean, it sounds incredibly serene, but what about everyone else? What is happening at the bottom of the mountain?
Well, the author looks down at the people still struggling at the foot of the mountain and calls their pursuits blind. He claims they are desperately chasing the sunset.
Blind pursuits, like what?
And this is where his examples become deeply provocative. What does he consider a blind pursuit? He specifically mentions men and women who are racking their brains and making a real effort to get married and start a family.
Wait, getting married?
Yep. Or people worrying endlessly about whether to plant radishes or corn on their tiny piece of land.
So what does this all mean? Getting married is a sunset industry. How does that even work?
It's a huge paradigm shift.
For most of human history, getting married and starting a family has been the absolute cornerstone of society. It's the ultimate sunrise for so many people. And suddenly, this deeply human universal desire is being compared to stubbornly refusing to throw away an outdated traffic map.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see how the author has completely redefined the very definition of a sunset industry.
He really has.
It is no longer a term confined to business or commerce. He has expanded it to encompass everyday human existence. He views the people at the foot of the mountain as pathetic and pitiful because, in his eyes, they are running headlong into the darkness.
Because they are attaching themselves to things that are about to be obsolete.
Exactly. While the Chanyuan celestials at the peak are enjoying the view, The people below are consumed with anxiety over trivialities like fighting over that patch of land for radishes.
Or stressing over a mortgage?
Right. The author is suggesting that the intense private attachments we form, our private families, our private plots of land, are actually anchors dragging us into the dusk.
Wow.
It challenges the reader to consider how we define a safe or normal life path. We are told from birth that going to school, getting a job, getting married, buying a house. Wait, scratch that. I shouldn't say ... But you get the idea. These are the safe, forward-moving things to do.
The standard playbook.
Standard playbook. The author is suggesting that engaging in those activities means you are actively walking backwards.
Which fundamentally changes how we view our daily lives. But that brings us to the most extreme section of the essay. If marriage and private property are obsolete, what actually replaces them?
He has a very specific answer for that.
Right. The author introduces two entirely new concepts here, the second home model and the 800 values for new era human beings.
These concepts are the architecture of his sunrise. And under the umbrella of the second home and the 800 values, he provides a highly specific list of human pursuits that he claims will soon be entirely eradicated.
Let's really explain how this works, because the scope is just staggering. He asks, with the second home model in place, who wants to save money to buy a house for themselves?
Right.
Who wants to sharpen their brains to become the civil servant? Who wants to start a business for their own family? Who will even engage in making social connections?
To understand why he thinks these things will disappear, we have to look at the mechanism of the second home.
Okay, lay it out for us.
The second home is essentially a communal living structure designed to completely replace the nuclear family unit. If traditional families are dissolved into a larger communal group, the ripple effects are massive.
So he's basically envisioning society as a massive, open-source cloud network.
That's a brilliant way to look at it.
Instead of everyone owning their own private server, where you have to maintain your own house, protect your own private savings, run your own private family business, we all just log into this communal mainframe.
Yes. If you are logged into that communal mainframe, the second home, the friction of private ownership just disappears. You don't need a mortgage because the community houses you.
Right.
You don't need to start a business to feed your specific children because the community resources are pooled. The author believes that the sheer amount of energy we expend on logistics, saving for a down payment, networking for a promotion, competing with neighbors, is a vain waste of time.
It's the ultimate streamlining of human existence. But he goes even further with the 800 values. This isn't just about giving up your mortgage. This list targets the absolute highest pillars of human society.
It really does.
He questions who would bother studying law to become a lawyer or a judge, who still racks their brains to become an official, who wants to be a soldier and die for their country, and finally, who wants to join a political party or a church.
The 800 values operate as a new ideological operating system. If everyone in the second home adopts these exact same values, the author's logic dictates that societal friction drops to zero.
Meaning no crime, no disputes.
Precisely. If there are no private property disputes and everyone shares a unified moral framework, why would you need a lawyer?
You wouldn't.
Why would you need a judge? Those professions exist to mediate conflict in the sunset world. Similarly, if the concept of the private nation-state dissolves into this global Lifechanyuan era, why would you need a soldier to defend borders that no longer exist?
Mind-blowing.
Why join a political party if the communal direction is already set? Why join a traditional church if you are already living as a Chanyuan celestial at the peak of the mountain?
I mean, he is predicting the obsolescence of almost everything we consider civilization. He's not just predicting that we'll all use a new tech gadget. He's suggesting the total obsolescence of law, organized religion, home ownership, the military, and the nation-state.
It's totalizing.
He explicitly states that entering this second home will be the equivalent of owning that powerful Musk Starlink mobile phone. Meanwhile, lawyers, churches, and the military will disappear on the horizon of the setting sun, just like calculators, televisions, newspapers, and magazines.
This raises an important question, and it's a critical moment for us to clarify our role as your guides through this source material.
Absolutely.
We are unpacking a highly radical, totalizing framework. It is absolutely essential to state that we are not endorsing this worldview, nor are we taking any side on the value, morality, or necessity of these political, social, or religious institutions.
Exactly. We're not telling you that your mortgage is a sunset industry, or that studying for the bar exam is a waste of time, or that traditional families are obsolete.
Our goal is to neutrally report on a fascinating ideological construct. What we are analyzing is the architecture of the author's argument. He views absolutely everything, even the deeply personal choice to become a lawyer or to join a church or to serve your country, through the ruthless binary lens of an upgrading technology cycle.
It's a very specific lens.
Right. In his view, entering Lifechanyuan and adopting the sunrise lifestyle might be difficult at first. Leaving behind everything you know is hard. But he promises it leads to a vigorous, bright future.
Where is the alternative?
Conversely, he states plainly that those who engage in sunset industries, which again he defines as traditional family life, civil service, law, and religion, are just wasting their time and energy working diligently in vain.
It's a breathtakingly sweeping perspective. Let's synthesize the journey we've been on with this deep dive today.
Let's do it.
We started with something incredibly relatable. We opened that junk drawer and looked at old flashlights and point-and-shoot cameras. We agreed with the author that, yes, technology moves on and leaves the old ways behind.
Right, the easy stuff.
But from that simple, agreeable premise, we were taken on a ride into a sweeping, radical ideology. We watched as the concept of the sunset industry was stretched and mutated until it engulfed marriage, mortgages, courts of law, and traditional careers, casting them all as relics headed for the History Museum.
It is a philosophical bait and switch executed on a grand scale. You nod along to the demise of the ox cart, and before you know it, you are being asked to nod along to the demise of the nuclear family and the nation state.
Yeah, you really don't see it coming.
Whether you find Shuafeng's Lifechanyuan vision to be a profound awakening or a perplexing leap of logic, the essay undeniably serves as a striking thought experiment. It forces us to examine human progress, the relentless nature of change, and our deep, often unexamined attachment to the old ways of doing things.
It definitely forces you to look at your life choices in a new, slightly uncomfortable light. Which brings us back to you, listening to this right now. We want to leave you with one final thought to ponder on your own long after you finish this deep dive.
Ponder away.
If human institutions really do undergo obsolescence cycles just like technology, if the upgrade is always inevitable, what is an institution, a tradition, or a life goal that you actively participate in today that people 100 years from now might view the exact same way we view a horse-drawn carriage or that bulky camera in your junk drawer?